Hello, ma'am, and hello to all the viewers. Welcome to our special segment featuring Women in STEM. Today, we have a pleasure of speaking with Miss Angela, a trail, trailblazer in the field of science. I am very much honored to have you here, ma'am. We are all very much honored to have you today with us. Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview and coming here on such a short notice.
Yeah, thank you very much for this really nice invitation.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, before we begin, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yes, of course. So my name is Angela Hajdu. I'm from Hungary, and I'm a clinical chemist, and I did my PhD in chemistry. And actually, in the last 12 years, I'm working in a medical university where I'm teaching biophysics and also colloid chemistry. But my research main focus is electrospun fibrous meshes, which can be used for different medical applications. And actually, the most important thing in my life is just working with girls because I'm also the vice chair of the Hungarian Women in Science Association. And I'm also the chair of the Hungarian Proscientia Golden Medalist people. So actually, next to my work, I'm really passionate about the young girls. Not just for the high school girls, but also in the elementary schools, because what I learned in the last few years that working with girls in the 9-10 year age area, they are really critical thinkers and they can help them to find their way in the life. And sometimes what I recognize that especially in that area, that age, around 9 and 10, the teachers can, let's say, destroy a little bit their self-confidence and they can destroy the interest in the STEM area. So that's why we are focusing now to that special age of the girls, because maybe we can help them to protect themselves from that kind of influence.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You are really putting a great beam of confidence in those young girls who we also wish to inspire from our organization and we would like to help. And so, hence the interview. And ma'am, before we begin with the questions any further, we would like to introduce ourselves to you. Myself, Riddhi Gupta, and I'm from India. And I joined Women in STEM to help through a friend to help young girls who have lost their ways in their chance to succeed. Kamya?
Hello, ma'am. My name is Kamya Sharma, and Riddhi only influenced me to join STEM, so I joined it.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, before, if it's all right with you, maybe begin with the questions.
Sorry, can you just repeat it because I didn't understand the last part?
Sorry. If it's all right with you, maybe begin with the questions.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, ma'am, my first question to you is that as a mentor to students, what advice do you give to aspiring young scientists who are interested in pursuing the STEM fields?
Actually, I think the most important thing is to find a mentor. And if you just go to anybody who is a little bit, it doesn't matter that this mentor is older than you or not, or in the same age, it doesn't matter. You just have to find the person who can help you for blossom your talent. And actually, what I just saw in the last few years that sometimes the girls who can find their good mentor, they stuck to them. But it's really important that if you feel that you got everything from your mentor, just move on and find another one. Just keep the contact with the original one. But I think it can help if you have plenty of different people who can inspire you. And it can come from your same age, from a little bit older or very old people. But the most important thing is to find somebody who can inspire you and who can help to reach all the goals what you want to reach during your life. And don't dare to change it if you got everything what you want.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It would be great for young girls to have a mentor like you who would help them not only to learn, but also help them with the life challenges they might or they might not face in the future. So my next question to you is that as an expert in the field of magnetic fluids, what are some challenges that you encountered while preparing these fluids of biomedical use, and how exactly did you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge is to use these magnetic fluids inside the living body, because we have plenty of experiments what we can do it in the lab, and we can use it for different application, like as a contrast agent for MRI measurement, or we can use it in magnetic hyperthermia to induce an artificial heating effect locally. But all these experiments are working in lab conditions. As a contrast agent, it was used by previously for humans, and suddenly all the products were just disappeared from the market, and nobody knows why. But the other problem is in creating this artificial heating effect is that now we cannot create a specific alternating magnetic field what we can use for patients. So this is the biggest challenge nowadays, that how we can create a special setup which can induce this heating effect. So this is the main question now in our field. And how we can prepare magnetic fluids. If you see the YouTube channels, there is plenty of recipe how you can prepare it. The most challenging part is to prepare it in water media, in aqueous media, because our living system can deal just with that kind of setups. And if you are producing a magnetic fluid, it should keep all the behaviors in the living systems also. And this is the trick. So if you just use it and prepare it and you can play with it in the lab, it will not behave the same way under living conditions. So for example, the salt concentration, the pH, temperature, everything can cause some effect which will destroy your magnetic fluid. So these are the two big challenges. Do it under living conditions and find the proper setup for the heating system.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The answers truly pique my interest, though I don't personally have that great of experience with the biolab after almost burning myself. But it does truly sound interesting, and if I ever get a chance, I would definitely try to study more about it. So I'm moving forward to my next question. In your, as we on your profile, in your previous work, you focused on coating magnetic and biocompatible and functionalized layers. How exactly did you coated the magnetite particles contribute to the advancement of biochemical applications, such as MRI and all that?
Yes, actually, when we are working with nanoparticles, we always have to keep in mind that during the synthesis, so when we are creating these particles from the basic elements, so we are putting together and we will have, let's say, a spherical nanoparticles, they are usually not stable under physiological condition. So that's why we have to cover with something. Otherwise, what is the meaning of not stable? It means that if you have spherical balls, you put it in the physiological conditions, they start stacking together and gets growing and growing. And this is a lavina effect. So if you cannot avoid this attachment, they will grow to so big, let's say micro or millimeter sized particles, which can make some side effects in the vessels. So of course can cause some clotting or create a thrombosis. So there is plenty of problem with it. So for that, to avoid that situation, we have to cover it. But most of the nanoparticles are extremely reactive. So it's very easy to cover them, just adding something to the solution, and they immediately stuck on the surface. So this is what you have to deal in the lab, that what kind of molecules you can add to the surface, because sometimes these molecules can help to reach the special tissue in the living system. Let's say they have some antenna which can help them to go where they really have to locate it. So if you want to cover them, you all the time have to keep in mind to use some kind of molecules which is not toxic. Because if you want to use it for living systems, everything has to be biocompatible. So it's let's say the same material what already have in the living system. These are the best ones. So you can use, let's say, citric acid or small polymers, which you can find also in the living system, or what the living system can tolerate. And after, if you cover that, in that case, they can keep their stability, which means that when they hit each other, they cannot stuck together. They will just repel each other and they will keep their individual shape in the living system and during the application.
Though it somehow seems a bit over my level, but I will do my best to understand it much more about it as I move forward in my studies. And ma'am, as we speak of moving forward, my question to you, next question is somewhat personal, is that as the associate professor, what exactly would you say are your responsibilities or duties in promoting women, not just women in STEM and basic in among your students and all the STEM education and research?
It's a difficult question. So actually, as a woman, in my university and especially in Hungary, not that much associate professor you can find. I mean, you can find a lot of associate professor, but the percentage are really low, the woman percentage. And what I see is that if you are passionate enough and if your work is your, let's say, your hobby, then in that case, you put a lot of effort on the work what you are doing, and actually it can help you to reach a certain level. And usually what I'm telling to my students is the passion is the most important. So if you find the field what is your passion, it doesn't matter what will happen. Sooner or later, you are just going up and up and upper position in your ranks. So this is the most important. And about the STEM, now in Hungary, we are dealing the situation that in the elementary school and in the high school, they are decreasing the number of the STEM classes, which means that I'm very, very sad about that, and that's why we can a little bit make this younger generation passionate for the STEM area. And we are going to the elementary schools and doing some very easy experiment with the kids, but they can redo it at home because we are using just all the setups what they can find at home. So we are working with soaps or let's say powders and all these stuffs. So this is how I try to help them a little bit to make their orientation to the STEM area. And I'm very lucky because in my group, I have more girls than boys. I don't know why, but they really like to come here. And especially being a mom, this university or let's say academic career in Hungary, it's really a nice combination because we have the chance to make a life and work balance. And it is much more easier than working in the industry. But this is, I think, special for Hungary. So it's not for the full world, at least what I'm seeing from other researchers. It's absolutely not that typical.
Ma'am, to have a teacher who not only understands the subject and explains it well, but also who understands our life situation is truly an honor for them to have. And ma'am, you're right. To be honest, encouragement of the younger generation is what's going to change the upcoming problems that we may or may not face with our environment and all the other areas, all the other fields of science and STEM. So that I totally relate with, and that is actually why we interview people and record the sessions to inspire the younger generations, the upcoming generations, to understand the importance of science. And ma'am, to move forward, we have Kamya who will be asking the furthermore questions.
Yes. So, ma'am, my first question to you is collaboration is often vital in scientific research. So, have you collaborated with medical professionals or other interdisciplinary experts to explore the full potential of your research findings in biomedical applications?
Yes, actually, collaborations is a very crucial point. So, as I just mentioned, I'm a chemist, but I'm working in a medical university. And I feel very lucky myself because most of my chemist colleagues, they are struggling with these collaborations. I'm here and I have plenty of doctors around me, so I'm very lucky with that. But without collaborations, you cannot do any multidisciplinary research because if you think about Einstein or all these old guys who were just working in the lab alone, they are sitting in front of the desk and they did everything alone. This is not how it's working nowadays. We all need collaborations. And the reason is that all these old guys, they made a lot of statement what now we know. But the research is now not anymore, let's say, physics and chemistry and medical stuff. They are overlapping. And now we are in the situation where everybody knows that the one science alone is not science. So all the time we have to overlap and find our partners and how we can do something together. So mostly we are doing collaborations, not just in our university, but between different universities. And the most important is doing abroad. Because if you are just working alone, you cannot expand your knowledge enough. And actually, in the past, it was working that you just working alone in the lab and so on. But nowadays, with the internet, when all the information you can reach really quickly, you need these collaborators who can tell you that, okay, I need that information. Can you give me? Yes, I can. And I'm really interested in your research and so on. So this is very important to be open and find those people who are also open and you can start discuss everything with them. I think what I just saw in my students, they have to deal with the situation to dare to ask because there is no bad questions. No bad, and especially in Hungary, in the high school, they kill that passion from the students. And it's very difficult to rebuild it because if they don't dare to ask, they cannot make collaborations. So it's very, very important to just stand up and say that, sorry, I have a question. Can you help me? It will help. So collaboration is very crucial in science.